If you're not familiar with AI, you will be soon because it's like the third word everyone says when they're talking about something today. AI, AI, AI. It's been around for a long time. It's only just getting into its spurs or whatever the saying is. It's growing into its potential.
Welcome in, everybody. You're listening to Wrestling Payments, a podcast where we help payment professionals contend with the challenges of modernizing their payments operations and identifying ways to build for the future. If you're interested in payments innovation and modernization, you're in the right place. Now, let's get into it.
Hi, welcome to Wrestling Payments. In this episode, I think I have just an interesting riff, if you will, on Small Business Week. I was in the preparation of a podcast. I was going to talk to a small business, look at all the issues small businesses face, and I did my research. And my marketing folks presented May is National Small Business Month. So I had to do my research. That's what I do. And I found out it is actually National Small Business Week. And National Small Business Week goes from April 28th to May 4th. Now, I'm speaking today to small businesses. And if you're a small business, you know how hard things are. For example, my studio is currently my kitchen table because they're building our office and they're still building our office. And it's been weeks and weeks and weeks. But for that, I get a studio. That's my kitchen table. But as you think of small businesses, there's lots and lots of data out on sba.gov. Put a link in the description. There's just highlights of things that are going on. And I'm going to look at the agenda, if you will. There is a virtual summit. It is a free 2-day event for small businesses. And I know finding time as a small business owner or as small business staff is really hard because you're busy. There are things that have to be done, and a 2-day training is not one of them. But if you could make it over to this virtual training, there's lots of the co-sponsors, and you can imagine we speak from the heart here on Wrestling Payments. You can see the speakers are all vendors, right? So the vendors are trying to get your attention. Whatever you think of that, they do have some expertise in the different topics. And the topics they're looking at right now is accelerate your business growth with the help of AI. May be helpful to you, may not be helpful to you. Securing a small business in a work from anywhere world, that is really high attention. If you're in an industry where you have remote employees, highly important on how's that going. We saw it all pushed into it. If you weren't doing it before COVID, you definitely were doing it after COVID. How's that working out? What resources are available? How do you make sure they're the most efficient? The next thing is learn about the no-cost SBA Thrive education program. I don't know what that is, but I can tell you as I was doing some research, I saw educational resource. I just saw the tab. I don't know what's under it. But as a small business, again, where do you get your advice? Where do you get your help? Sometimes you feel like you're in it alone and there's nowhere you can go to other than a lawyer or an accountant to figure it out. This may have resources. The whole SBA thing, we are not getting paid by the SBA, but they can help you wrestle with your challenges. Like that? You like how I work that in? More AI stuff. Unlock AI potential for your small business. AI, if you're not familiar with AI, you will be soon because it's like the third word everyone says when they're talking about something today. AI, AI, AI. It's been around for a long time. It's only just getting it to growing into its spurs or whatever the saying is. It's growing into its potential. And lots of it have been around generative AI. Having, hey, AI, write a story about my business that highlights X, Y, and Z. Cite this, that, and it'll write an article. That's an article, a real good article that's going to tell you, here's all the highlights about this business. So generative AI words are very helpful. The other AI are pattern recognition and automation, maybe your business needs that as well. It's a different flavor. It's definitely a different flavor, but it can, we work mostly with financial institutions. One of the things AI can do is spot trends, spot recurrences of something that a person may not notice right away. The AI has multiple runs to be able to say, let me look at that again. Let me look at that again. Let me look at that again. And can spot the trends or the anomalies. And they can use that in risk management. But lots of the AI today is around generative. I want to ask a question from a publication. I want to ask a legal question and it'll pop back up. Be aware, sometimes AI isn't 100% there. I can give you the example. NEACH Payments Group did an AI experiment and it said, hey, as long as financial institutions follow the NEACH guidelines, they'll be all set. There aren't any NEACH guidelines. I don't know where it got that. So AI is good. It's helpful. It's not the Terminator yet. So it hasn't taken over. Anyways, back to the agenda. Again, free 2-day event, April 30th, May 1st. You do have to register, but it's free. Unlocking AI's potentials. We just talked about that. Building a foundation in online marketing success, review, plan, and execute. Marketing is really a key part of your business. Getting those eyeballs on your business, really important. Constant contact, if you don't know, are an emailing business. Very successful, very large. They've been doing it for a long time. So they're probably a really good trainer for that session. Leveraging e-commerce to scale your business. Really important. That's where Wrestling Payments spends most of its time thinking about how your payments are being processed, how and what challenges, what you're wrestling with in processing payments. Sometimes it's turning on a credit card machine and letting it run, and that's your payment solution. If there's ever a time you want to lower costs or figure out other ways to bring in income, that's when you can start wrestling with payments more. How do you start a food truck business? Great. Look at that. Great session. How many folks in the audience have thought about that? I know I have, actually. I'm a pizza connoisseur. And I thought, what if I could just run a truck? And if you've ever seen the Great Food Truck Challenge on the Food Network, a lot of great success stories out of that. Even the Shark Tank has launched truck food businesses. And that's going to be taught by SCORE. SCORE is the organization or the people that work with the Small Business Administration to talk about starting a business, helping your business, growing your business, all of those things. The next thing on the agenda is 8 practical skills to run a successful business. You get a lot of credit for starting your business, but do you have all, whatever these 8 skills are, do you have all the skills necessary? I know you may be strong in one thing. You may know that you're weak in this other part. My son started the business. He was weak in the financial and the bookkeeping part. I helped him with that. He didn't have to worry about that. He could just worry about running the business. Navigating your cash flow as a small business, cash flow is everything. And working capital is everything. And making sure when you have those low times, I talked about my son in the food industry, January, February in New England, pretty sparse. So how do you make it through those months by taking care of your cash flow? And it's done by Chase. Chase is one of the biggest banks in the country. Probably a good session to look in on, even if you wanted to just see what they were talking about. The next few are how to turn a side hustle, right? How many people out there have a side hustle? How do you turn a side hustle into a business and secure your first loan? So they're going all the way to the loan. How do you start your business? You may have a great idea, but you're not going to be able to do it with just help from family members and friends. Maybe you need to secure that loan. This session may help you with that. The Future of Commerce 2024. If you haven't watched how commerce has changed in the last, let's say, 5 years, you need to watch that. We're seeing payments. So we are the payments folks. So we're seeing payments. We're seeing digital payments go up. We're seeing card payments go up. We're seeing ACH payments hit a new high, all-time high. We're seeing checks continuing to decline, but leveling off. So checks are way down from their high point, but they're not going away. And there's a lot of things we could talk about checks. There's a lot of fraud things happening, mailbox keys getting stolen. Check fraud is definitely actually on the rise. All kinds of fraud are on the rise. So as a small business, you are not immune to that. You will see a fair share of fraud attempts on your business. My son has seen at least two solid, hardcore fraud attempts. He hasn't been in business for a year. Good understanding your commerce, future of commerce 2024 would be helpful. Square, if you don't know Square, Square is that they started as we could process your credit card from your iPhone because we put this little device in your iPhone. They've since graduated to point of sale terminals, and they offer. If I know that if you're a business and you're looking for a loan because Valentine's weekend is this weekend and you need the supplies, but you don't have the cash flow, they've offered loans. Again, not any sort of, hey, you should use them, but you should be aware that's an option available. The next two are kind of important. My SBA. SBA can be a partner for you. Again, we have no relationship. We're not connected to the SBA. This is just knowing that they are a good resource for you. And finally, if you are a nonprofit, so NEACH is actually a nonprofit. At the same time, we're a trade association for credit unions, financial institutions, fintech. How to write a grant proposal. There's a lot of money out there available through grants. But for example, if you're working with the government, those grants have to have all the pieces included. Otherwise, it goes in the trash. You could be the ideal partner for the government on whatever service they're looking for. If you left out part 6, you are in the trash. So excellent session to look at. It looks like to be a virtual event. I, again, highly recommend it, as well as using the SBA site for some resources. This year, as they celebrate Small Business Week, they have awards they're going to be giving away. There's articles and press releases available. And then there's some, if you want to look back on what they do last year and how that turned out, there's that material available as well. With that, I just wanted to do a quick introduction to Small Business Week. Understand, if you dig into the details of this SBA site, you realize most of the business in the US is small business. And sometimes you forget that when you're looking at even the speakers at this event, T-Mobile and Verizon and Chase, big behemoth companies, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of employees. Your 5-person shop may think no one cares. You just got to get through the day. You got to make your profit. You got to hit all your schedules. There's resources available to help. And I would be remiss if I didn't say your community bank or credit union is there to help as well. They have continued to watch these trends and understand you need working capital, and they may have a solution for you. So that's the first place you should start when you look at that. I'd ask you to stay tuned for future episodes. We're going to dig into a little bit of fraud coming up. Fraud is, I hate when people say this, but fraud is probably at the worst it's ever been. It's on the rise. You can watch the news. If you watch the news for the week, you're going to see the next post office person that gets held up for their post office key, for their mailbox key. I was at an event today where my boss was giving us a speech on the tools that are already available to fight against fraud. Positive Pay. He's doing a survey on Positive Pay. I'll include that link as well. Positive Pay, if you're unaware, Positive Pay is a protection over your financial account. I won't say your bank account or your credit union account. It's a cover over it that if something comes in that you didn't tell the bank, hey, I wrote a check for $10,000. If you didn't tell them who that was for and when you wrote the check and what check number it was, and someone takes your $100 check to a vendor, stole it out of a mailbox, turned it into a $10,000 check, Positive Pay is one of those things that the bank will get that check and say, whoa, we don't have any mark of a $10,000 check. Hey, business owner, did you write a $10,000 check? And they give you the ability to say, no, I did not write that check. Do not pay it. Otherwise, you may find out when your accountant reconciles the account 2 months later. For trying to fix a 2-month-old check that was cashed for $10,000 is probably virtually impossible. I'm not saying it can't be done, but the amount of effort and time you're going to spend in a legal process, because at that point, the banks are going to say, it's not us anymore. Go back to the other bank and figure it out. Positive Pay helps. I'll include a link to the survey. If you want to include your data in it, it would be helpful to us. We're getting data from companies and we're getting data from financial institutions to try to say, what are the disconnects? And it's only the first part of a series of surveys talking about the tools that already exist to help fight fraud. I can tell you the argument is, I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. What's going to happen is, I can tell you we're users of Positive Pay. You're going to get an email in the morning. It's going to say, hey, you got an item in the Positive Pay. And you're going to go, ooh, that's a problem. Let me do that right now, because that's the bank and that's money. Go in and shows you, oh, it was just, I told them I sent a check. I scrambled a couple of the numbers. Great. No, we want to pay them. Yes, please pay that. Or in the better example, no, I have no idea what that is. Do not pay it. Again, it saves that time, that delay, and you recognizing you got an unauthorized entry to your account. They have it for ACH. It's traditionally a check product where you say, I wrote all my checks today. These are the 3 checks I wrote. These are the amounts of the checks. Those checks are okay. Don't call me if those checks come in. But if something's weird, the credit union or the bank could get in touch with you. Anyway, I went on a long time. I have an opinion of this. I think Positive Pay is a good thing. I think it's an easy decision. It does take 15 minutes of your time. You may not have 15 minutes of your time, but how much time do you want to spend trying to get your $10,000 back? It's a trade-off. And I will guarantee the first time someone steals $10,000 from a fraudulent check, you're going to say, I wish I had Positive Pay, and I have it now going forward, trying to save you that loss. But you're a business owner. You got to where you are because you are a decision maker, a business owner, an entrepreneur. I wish you all the luck in the world. We run the country. We small businesses run the country. If all the small businesses disappeared, everyone would be out of a job. And again, those stats are all on the SBA. I don't have to say them. Thank you very much for joining me today, and happy Small Business Week.
On behalf of NEACH, your trusted resource in payments, and our guests, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning into the podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to hear more about payments innovation and modernization, you can find the Wrestling Payments Podcast on the podcast page of NEACH.org or wherever you subscribe to podcasts. Just search for Wrestling Payments in your podcast app. Thanks for listening.